Howdy, everyone. Matt here. I got a question for you. Do you think there's one group of people that we are missing out on when we talk about diversity in not only physical therapy, but also in healthcare in general? Let's talk about it. All right, everyone. First and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Matt. I am Matt the PT, coming at you with another video on another topic or something in the physical therapy world. This one is something I have really experienced and seen for quite a long time. I want to talk about it. I want to hear your thoughts, opinions, and all of that. And this may be something that maybe you have a strong belief about, maybe something you never thought about, but please share it. Let's have a discussion. Now, when the topic of diversity comes up, and that's been something that we've talked about in not only physical therapy, but in healthcare in general, that it tends to be things about like ethnicity or race. And that's where it seems like really the big focus in. And I do believe that's a discussion to be had, and I'm not going to do it here today. I do believe that would be a very good roundtable. So if anybody out there wants to have a roundtable discussion and we discuss, I would think that would be phenomenal that we have a discussion on that. But I feel like there is a group that's not really represented and people really don't get into. And that is people from different socioeconomic groups. Because I feel like there is this big disconnect between and when I say providers, I'm including everybody, physical therapists, physicians, nurses, everybody, between providers and patients at times. And it can kind of make sense because if you look at, to become a medical provider, it requires a lot of time and education and money. And many of these people come from a higher social economic group because, they could live in an area that's has better schools. Education is a major focus in their family's lives. So then, they get good grades and then they're able to go to college and then they're able to go to grad school and they're able to do all these things. And they don't have these other things going on in their life that they can put this focus into doing professions like in medical. And I'm not saying that that's everybody. I'm not saying that in no way that's all encompassing. That's everybody, because no, there are people that come from it. But my background and where I came from Mississippi. And if you know anything about Mississippi, it's a very rural state. A lot of people are below the poverty line. Education is very low. Chronic diseases are pretty rampant in this area. And to see that there is just this disconnect and this misunderstanding and lack of understanding that can happen between medical personnel and patients, and that they can't understand one another and they can't communicate well enough with one another, and they just have a hard time understanding. Now, again, in no way am I saying that this is a negative or bad thing whatsoever, but I feel like it's something that we're missing out on, and that it's not an area of focus, that we're not focusing on to say, hey, not only do we need to bring in people from these other, diverse areas of different races and ethnicities. Yes, there's evidence that shows that, the care is better when people are, very similar to you in background. But I also believe coming from those different socioeconomic backgrounds, that could be something that could be huge in changing people's lives who are in some of these areas that really need care. Now, I'm going to use a little bit of my own personal experience in here that I've seen through my years, that I've run clinics in areas that we've gotten people from all different socioeconomic backgrounds. That just come all here, and it is pretty cool. And I will say it's very interesting as a therapist to see people from all these different backgrounds. And I have at times seen providers who don't like seeing patients from certain areas. And that's not to say anything bad about, that they're being racist or anything like that, but they don't understand some of the mindset that people have in these areas, what their understanding is. They're trying to communicate to this person this way, but this person can't fully understand it. And so they're clashing with it. I've seen with therapists as well that they don't understand the struggles that that patients go through, and that they say like, well, you need to do this because we were taught this in school and we, the evidence shows this. I got to communicate this over there to you. But this person is like, yes, I understand, but I can't do these things. And the therapist is getting frustrated because they're like, well, no, you're not wanting to put the work in. The other person's like, well, my priorities are elsewhere. And it just doesn't lead to good outcomes. And they can just be against one another. If you think this is an area of diversity that people are not talking about, hit that thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel. Back to the video. Another kind of wild area that I've seen this is with like returning people back to work. I never forget just seeing therapists who come from like a white collar background. Their parents had white collar jobs or worked in healthcare. That this person went from high school to, again, undergraduate to PT school and to start working, that they may have had little odd jobs here and there. And you're going to come in to someone who's like a construction worker who's worked construction for 30 years. And the therapist is saying, well, how, describe what you do, or the exercises that they give them. It's like, that's not nearly loading up this person nearly enough to get them to return back to their work. And then this person is communicating their worries and fears and stuff over to the therapist, and the therapist is not fully understanding it. And there's just kind of this back and forth. I've seen it again. I give an example. I've had that patient, and I've seen the other people around this person's care not fully understand it. I had a gentleman one time that he really needed extensive therapy, and somebody mentioned, hey, why don't you have him come in twice a day? Just think about how physical his job is. Have him come in twice a day, because that's really going to get it. And then like the physician wouldn't sign off on it, didn't understand it. The workers' compensation wouldn't understand it. It's like this person, they have worries, fears, concerns, focuses on their life. We have to get them back to doing that. Understand what they are going to meet them in that point. But the people around them that are providing their care don't see that. They don't see it because they've never been in that situation. Interesting thing, this happens quite often. I was just recently talking with a physician, and this thing just kind of came up, and they were saying, yeah, I've noticed that as well. Like even in medicine, they said, I'll never forget a friend of mine. He is Latin. He came from Latin America, and he received this scholarship for med school. So he said he goes to this like meeting of all these people who got this scholarship. And they said he came from, again, a lower socioeconomic area. He said he met two gentlemen from Atlanta who came from a lower socioeconomic group of people. And he said, we go in there and we're surrounded from all these people that and started talking to and find out that their families are physicians from other countries. It's like, yes, they are Latin or they are this or they are that, but their families have money. They have the ability to pay for this med school, and they're getting these scholarships and things to allow them to get into these programs. He's like, no, this scholarship was set up for somebody who couldn't afford to do it. And it really only looks like a very small handful of people did it. And he was very passionate. You could just hear it coming out of him, how he was talking about that. But it's an interesting thing to see that that happens. I really believe with these barriers that nobody is talking about, it's keeping so many people out of becoming a healthcare provider. I mean, if we talk about physical therapy, look at the cost of school. That keeps so many people out of it, because if you come from a lower income area, lower income family, you may not have the ability to go to undergraduate and being able to go to grad school. Yeah, you could say, well, you can take out loans. Well, again, with the cost of school, you can still end up paying so much money out to repay your student loans. Now, I understand, yeah, people are going to get into it. Yeah, the cost of school is too high. Okay, one, if you're going to bring up the APTA and the cost of school, the APTA does not set the cost of education with schools. It is the school itself that sets the cost. Everyone gets mad at programs. Nobody gets mad at the schools to say the overall school, why are you not lowering the cost of tuition? Okay, if you actually pay attention to some of these, especially the state schools, they are doing whatever they can to try to lower the cost by like combining courses and doing all those things. They're not increasing. It's the school that's doing it, not the PT program. The APTA is not telling them. So if you get mad, go get mad at the schools and talk to them about it. But it's keeping so many people out of doing that because it's just, again, financially, it's just a challenge. Because yeah, not only do you have to pay for school, you also have to pay to live. People don't understand that aspect of it. You got to pay for somewhere to live. You need to pay for food. You got to pay for your books, any kind of insurance. You got to pay for like internet, phone, computer. You have to have that stuff to go into some of these programs. It's so expensive to be there. And there's so many things in the way of doing that. And I believe that this will be a very big benefit if we're able to have people come in from these different social economic groups, because they'll be easier to go back into their communities to open up clinics. And I do believe that we need help there doing it, because usually some of these areas, again, if it's a lower income area, you're going to be surrounded by people who don't have a lot of money, that may or may not have insurances. I run a clinic in those areas. It's very challenging to run one because you have to set it off of federal payers, and that's a whole other headache. And then very often, but you can get like hospitals or get those, or get something to help people open these clinics in these areas and the people and things around them. Kind of going back the whole thing with the diversity of like race and ethnicity, that people feel more comfortable when they're working with a provider that is similar to them. Again, you have somebody from your community who knows you, understands your struggles and issues and everything going on, that can help you reach your goals. So again, it's the aspect of helping people get into the profession, but then also helping them continue to practice outside of that. And I think we really, really need to consider this, make this a priority. So I know that was quite a lot. I hope I made sense with what I was doing. Please, if you would, share your thoughts, opinions, beliefs, all of that down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you a copay or anything like that. And until next time, take care of yourself. Take care of your patients. I'll see you then.